Hey, what's up guys, and welcome back to Anime King. And today I'm going to be giving you part 11 of What If Kaguya Was Naruto's Mother. Remember to get this one to 100 like as usual, share this to all of your friends in your social media platform, and also stay in tune because after this I'm going to be posting a new episode of What If Naruto Had Multiple People Sealed Inside of Him. So stay in tune for that, and I hope you guys enjoy each and every episode. And over on Anime King 2, I'm going to be posting a new episode of What If Aizuna Uchiha Was Naruto's ancestor. So stay in tune for that as well. And later on, I'm going to be posting What If Naruto Rebuilt the Uzumaki clan. So yeah guys, I hope you enjoy each episode that I post today. And remember, if you're new and this is the first time you hear my voice, and you enjoy the videos on both Anime King and Anime King 2, go ahead and click those red subscribe button and become a part of the Anime King family. And thank you for all of your help and support guys. And yeah, without further ado, let's begin this new episode. Start the intro.
I think the girls with their nails done now. Girls with their nails done. I think the girls with their
So the last time we left off, the war was heated, as Tobirama got a tip from his spies that the three great nations are going to be gathered, and Hoshirama with 200 of his soldiers went out there to just take them out right there. But it was a trap, as Hoshirama was surrounded by Kumo, the stone and the sand, and their respective cage, as all the famous ninjas were there as well, like Ginkaku and Kinkaku, and there was also Mew and some other strong ninjas with all type of bloodlines. As Hoshirama knew that he might not make it out of this battle, but he still give it his all, as he summoned a giant golem, as the golem was smashing down on them, but they managed to destroy the golem's feet. Hoshirama then created a giant woody structure with thousands upon thousands of hands, as everyone was shocked. But their Kages told him to launch all that they have at it. As Hoshirama was about to strike back, that was until he sensed a presence. As he turned his head, he saw none other than Madara Uchiha himself there. As he was shocked beyond belief, that was enough time for the squad to release all that they have. As Hoshirama turned back his head, as he fired down some of the arms, but he was too late, as most of the attacks went through his defense and smashed right into him. Remember, there was at least over 2,000 ninjas there, and in the end he got killed, as the news spread around the nation. As Konoha was grieving, Tobirama then asked Naruto if he could retrieve his brother's body, as Naruto applied with that as he went off, as he retrieved Hoshirama and brought him back to the village, as a funeral was held. As Mito and the others were very sad, the village was in a sad mood. But Naruto was in the forest of death, as Tobirama come visit him 3 weeks later and asked him for his help. They needed Naruto help in this war because the council wanted the children at least 4 years old to take on ninja duties. As Naruto was angry about that, they were going to send children to their deaths. Tobirama then told Naruto something, that he will get the information on all the tail beasts and where they are. As Naruto then said deal, as he wanted to reunite his family, seeing that the tail beasts are his family. So yeah guys, that was basically last where we left off. You guys can switch across the place and check it out for yourself. So let's start this new episode. We start this episode with Hiruzen as he jumped off of a tree, dodging an attack, as he went through hand sign, fire dragon, fire bullet he said, as his attack smashed into a sand shinobi, killing him. He then jumped off the tree that he was on as a lightning jutsu tear right through it, as he turned to see two stone shinobi. As right now, all of the Kages send their shinobis to try and catch Konoha off guard. Seeing that the great god of shinobi, Hoshirama Senju, has been killed, as Hiruzen then jumped away as dozen earth spikes break from the ground as he landed on a tree branch. as there was other Konoha shinobis facing off against groups of stone and sand shinobis, but they were greatly outnumbered because the alliance between Kumo and the stone and the sand was strong. There was a lot of them, as there was a lot of dead bodies around, most of them Konoha ninjas, but they managed to take down a few of the other alliance. As Hiruzen dodged mud strikes that were sent towards him from the stone shinobi, as he quickly landed behind a tree trunk and created Shadow Clone. As the clone immediately jumped off after being created, as it knew what to do. As Hiruzen then jumped from behind the tree, seeing that it was destroyed by many attacks. As Hiruzen then speed through hand sign, water style, water wave, he said, as he spewed water out of his mouth, as the water covered the ground as the ninjas walked into it. As he then speed through another set of hand sign, lightning style, lightning current, he said, as the shinobis were electrocuted, as their bodies fall down into the puddle. He then leaped back into the trees as he started to make it to the main battlefield where everything started. As he saw, nearly 100 shinobis were fighting it out, kunais, shurikens, all types of jutsus. Hiruzen then heard something behind him as he quickly spun around, as 4 shinobis were already going through hand sign, but before they could release their attacks, 4 spikes pierced through their chests as they collapsed on the ground. As Hiruzen then felt something beside him as he swung around his hand, but it was grabbed by someone. As he looked up, it was Naruto, the same man who had proven that he was arrogant a couple of years ago. And he was the only reason that he was alive right now, because Hiruzen learned not to underestimate his opponents. As he was dressed in a white kimono with black pants, as he looked like royalty but also ready for battle. Hiruzen also realized that his eyes were no longer white, they had a pupil in them, and they were now a purplish color. As Naruto had did this, seeing that he didn't want people to ask him about his eyes and how he's related to the Hyugas. "Naruto, what are you doing here? You need to leave now," Hiruzen said. As Naruto was still holding on to his grip, as he was looking out, as he was currently looking at the Nibi house. "A word of advice, Hiruzen, don't blink. It will be over before you know it," said Naruto as he vanished. As Hiruzen looked around, where did he go? As Hiruzen then collapsed on his knees, there was a pressure around. Everyone collapsed, even the Jinchuriki, as Hiruzen felt like he was an ant with a giant mountain. What was this power, he said to himself. Who could be this strong? As Hiruzen catch his breath, as it then vanished, as he saw the host of the Nibi was on the ground, holding his head in pain. Hiruzen then saw a blue blur just swift through all of the ninjas on the battlefield. The blur then stopped right in front of a Jinchuriki with both hands at his side. As Hiruzen couldn't believe it. This was all? Naruto? Wasn't this man supposed to be blind? What the hell is he? As Hiruzen saw blades as they were going back inside of Naruto's kimono. Hiruzen then heard a scream as all of the enemy ninja, their bodies start to fall like flies. Some of their heads sliced off, a huge gaping hole in some of their chests. As shinobi all over the battlefield started to die like a ghost, had just rampaged through all of them. How was this even possible? As the wounds just appear on them, as many of the ninjas start to panic, as their heads just get sliced off, as their body fell to the ground. Throughout all of this, Naruto stood still in front of a Jinchuriki who was on the ground crying out in pain, as Hiruzen could only guess Naruto was the cause of all of this. But how? He then watched as Naruto grabbed the Jinchuriki host and picked him up off the ground by his head. As Naruto looked into the Jinchuriki eyes, he was a ninja from Kumo with blonde hair and tan skin with green eyes. As Naruto started to force his chakra to form a mental link between him and the sealed Biju. As the link formed, Naruto started to speak Manatabe. That was all Naruto got out before the two-tailed cat started to scream and yell. "Leave me alone! Leave me alone! I don't want you here! Just leave and go! Leave me in my prison, you betrayer!" The words sting Naruto more than he liked to admit, especially the last one. On the outside, he was still as a statue, but on the inside, he was feeling pain and regret. Manatabi, what do you mean? What did I do? As he was surprised, from the last he knew, Manatabi didn't hold anything against him because of Hagoromo's death, and she was also quite forgiving. So, what did he do? What did you do? You really asked me that? You left us to be used like weapons, Osusuki. As Naruto flinched at how she addressed him, she usually called him uncle. But for she to call him Osusuki, she must be really pissed and angry at him. What do you mean, Manatabi? I had no idea that you would be used as weapons. I never knew where any of you guys was, except for Shikaku. And I was mourning when he was taken. I never wanted any of you to be sealed away. Ever since I heard that you were all sealed, I've been working hard to find all of you and release you. But you weren't there when it happened, said Manatabi, as her voice was much softer now, as Naruto could hear the sadness and the pain. You weren't there when we really needed you, she said. What happened? Said Naruto. I heard Aisabu. He screamed. He was attacked by that bastard who could control wood. I heard he called out for you, Naruto. He called out your name. He called for his uncle to save him. Over and over he cried out for your help, but you never came. He was attacked in the middle of the ocean, and I was stranded on the shore, not able to do a thing. He was sealed, calling your name, Naruto. I was also sealed, calling your name, but you never came. You never helped any of us. You never when we needed you. As Naruto knew that Aisabu acted younger than the rest of them, Manatabi was like an older sister to him. As she protected him, Naruto now understands that Manatabi blamed him for Aisabu captured, and she could never stand seeing Aisabu hurt, and Naruto wasn't there to save any of them. Naruto then realized something. You weren't only talking about Aisabu capture, weren't you? There's another reason why you're so angry at me, isn't it? The humans attack me. They provoke me until I fight back. Sometimes I would kill them and they call for aid. And they kept on coming. They never allow me to rest. They kept attacking me as they tried to measure their skills. Seeing that I only have 2 tails, they tried to test me like a measuring stick. They would sometimes trap me for days, following me, trying to tire me out. Every time I went to look for them, they would hide, and then start to trap me when I am rest. And they will interrupt my sleep and attack me all over again. I began to run from anything with a large enough chakra signature. I felt like an animal. Hearing all of this was tearing apart Naruto from the inside. As Naruto tried to say he was sorry, but it wouldn't come out. How could he say he was sorry after all she had been through? He doubted that that would do anything. But thankfully, he knew how he could fix this. It won't regain her trust within him. But it wasn't about the trust. He was going to do what he must do. Manatabi, if I kill your host, your chakra will spread out. And it will reform. By this time, the world will give up looking for you. Is that okay for me to do? Do it, said Manatabi. I want out of this prison. Very well, Manatabi. I hope that one day I can regain your hope, said Naruto. Perhaps one day, she said, as a link was cut between them. As Naruto looked around as he saw the host was smashing around in his grip, trying to get free. As Naruto extended a blade from the gauntlet on his arm. I will make this quick, he said. You will not feel a thing. As the Jinchuriki eyes widened as he started to struggle more, knowing that his end was near. As Naruto sliced off the man's head. As the body dropped to the ground. As Naruto saw the stomach start to bulge. As Naruto grabbed the body and threw it up into the air. The body then exploded as red chakra emerged. As it then vanished into the wind. Looking around the battlefield, Naruto noticed that all of the Konoha ninja eyes were on him. But Naruto just turned as he went off as he was going back to Konoha to tell Tobirama that the host was taken care of. And he knew what he was going to do next. Naruto knew that the word about him, able to take down Jinchuriki with ease, will spread, and this will force all the other villages to call back their Jinchuriki in an effort to not be killed or captured. But Naruto hoped that wasn't the case, as he needed some more time to find them all and free them. Meanwhile at Konoha, Tobirama was in his office, as he then heard a knock on his door. As he went over to open it, as he saw Naruto with his clothes unruffled. As Tobirama looked at Naruto and saw his eye color, as he was thankful that Naruto did that. It wouldn't be good if the Hyuga had turned up, saying that there was an unbranded Hyuga member running around. As he allowed Naruto inside, as he went back and sit in his chair, as Naruto sat in front of him. I am guessing that Nibi Jinchuriki has been taken care of, said Tobirama. Yes, said Naruto. The host has been taken care of and Nibi will take a while before it is reformed. So you killed the host? Asked Tobirama, as Naruto nodded. It would be pointless to let them live when I'm on your side, said Naruto. Alright, I'll give you your next target as soon as I get it, but don't expect anything for at least a few days or so, said Tobirama. Why a few days? Wouldn't it be best to attack right now, while the Alliance doesn't know that someone is capable of killing their Jinchuriki? Naruto questioned, as Tobirama shook his head. You forgot, Naruto. Shinobis can't run as fast as you. We cannot cross entire countries in a day. It takes us time to get information about the battlefield, and it doesn't help that the Alliance use their Jinchuriki in different battles. We cannot predict which battle the Jinchuriki are going to be in. I was the one that sent out that large force to draw out the Nibi Jinchuriki, seeing that it was spotted near the outpost, so I sent that large group to draw it out, and we got lucky. Currently, my information said that the Yanbai is near the land of lightning, but that information is 3 days old. They must have moved it somewhere else. It would be pointless for you to check, Tobirama explained. So, what do I do then? Wait around for the stone, the sand, or the cloud to send out some high value target? And you get some information that it isn't out of date by the time you get it? As Naruto asked with disbelief in his voice, what was he, some kind of flying monkey for Konoha? To go out and do their bidding, but then to fly back in his cage when they don't need him? Tobirama sighed as he could already tell what Naruto was thinking by his tone. You're not some slave, Naruto, so you can stop thinking about that right now. There is nothing I can do about this, unless you wish to attack the stone, the cloud, Kiri, and the sand directly and end the war. Tobirama asked, as a part of him was wishing that Naruto would say yes, but he knew Naruto wouldn't do that. Naruto sighed as he wished that he could, but he knew there was also people that didn't deserve to die in those villages. He didn't need innocent deaths on his conscience. Very well, Tobirama, if that is all for now, you can find me when you need me, he said, as he got up and walked away. After the battle with Naruto, Konoha shinobi spread the news that the Jinchurikis weren't as strong as they seem. A man as single-handedly take out the Nibi Jinchuriki without any problem, as many of them thought that this was a phantom or some divine being that has come to destroy Konoha enemies. Some thought that it was some secret student of Hoshirama and Tobirama coming to test his strength on the battlefield. As Tobirama informed the council about the battle that Naruto take place in. As we have a time skip, 4 months later, the Kages decided to send out the four-tailed hosts, as they had no other incident of their entire troops being decimated, as they thought whoever killed the Jinchuriki host had died. And thoughts came to their mind, the Nibi host wasn't that really strong, neither was the Nibi Jinchuriki compared to the others, so who might take it down was strong, but he wasn't any god, they thought. The Konoha shinobis weren't expecting a sudden Jinchuriki to return, and they were taken off guard by the Yanbai, as the Jinchuriki quickly charged right through their ranks. But it didn't last long, seeing that the Jinchuriki was killed after a month it was sent out. Naruto didn't play around as soon as he found out where Son Goku vessel was, as Naruto simply killed the host, as he didn't want to hear from Son Goku how he had failed them. He already heard all of that from the Nibi, and he is going to make everything right. After that, the Alliance started to send out mostly soldiers high-ranking soldiers here and there, but the Kages themselves never made an appearance on the battlefield. Neither did any other Jinchuriki they had in their possession. But eventually, they start to push back Konoha forces, the numbers of the three villages overpowering the Nara strategy and Tobirama forces. The council quickly turned to Tobirama to send Naruto back out to stop the advance of the alliance, as Tobirama himself knew that Naruto was the only hope they have of winning this war. It was impossible for Konoha to win otherwise. 3 strong villages against Konoha, it was hard. So, when he heard that a large force was moving to the north wing, he quickly came up with a plan. Time skip, it was now night, as the occasional lightning strike would strike in the sky, as 2 massive armies were ready to face off against each other, as the air was thick and tense. On the side of Konoha was a great portion of ninjas ready to fight, with their headbands showing that they're loyal to the leaf, as they were posing the final stance against the 3 other villages. Many of them were scared. Many of them knew that they would die in this battle, but they have to do it for the sake of their village and protect the one they love. Opposite of Konoha was the combined forces of the cloud, the stone, and the sand, as this number of ninjas was much larger than what Konoha have. Thousands of ninjas wearing headbands that were from the village that they were loyal to, against 100 of Konoha shinobis, against thousands of others. Some might call this overkill, but the Kages wanted to make sure that Konoha was done for, that they were crushed and decimated in this battle. 3 ninjas stood in front of this battle army. It was the Raikage, the Kazekage, and the Tishukage. All 3 Kages knew that Tobirama must have some plan. With the Nara clan in Konoha, they knew that Tobirama must have something up his sleeve. That is why they must strike first and destroy any plan he had for them. Tobirama Sensei, as Tobirama turned to face his student, Hiruzen Sarutobi, are you sure that this is the best course of action? You know that they have at least several powerful shinobis as well as the Jinchurikis, said Hiruzen. It came to a news to them that Taki had the 7-tailed beetle, but the alliance took it from them. But Taki had sent news to Konoha and tell them that to watch out, while the villages still have their respective Jinchuriki, as they didn't want to send out theirs, so they decided to take this one from Taki and use it in the war. I have a plan, said Tobirama, as he then turned and looked back at his enemies. As Tobirama knew that this plan was very dangerous and he probably won't survive. That is why he already left Hiruzen as his successor. An official notice on his decks, as well as another note for Hiruzen on his decks, as he didn't tell anyone this plan. As Tobirama started to walk forward, the 3 other cages doing the same, before everything go to hell, having one last meeting. As they stop a few meters away from each other. Will you surrender, Hokage? The Kazekage asks. Will you, Kazekage? asked Tobirama. Because if you don't, I can guarantee that your successor would have wished you did. I would watch my words if I were you, Hokage. Your village isn't as strong as you think it is. Your brother thought that he was stronger than he actually was, and look where that got him, said the Raikage, as Tobirama quickly quelled his anger, not showing his anger on his face. You may say that now, Raikage, but I guarantee at the end of this battle, you would have wished that you never crossed the village hidden in the leaf, said Tobirama with a smirk on his face. As the Raikage simply scoffed, but the other 2 Kages shift slightly. But unfortunately for you, Tobirama, you make one small mistake when you chose the venue for our final battle, said the Tishukage. Oh really? And what mistake did I make? asked Tobirama. It is too close to Konoha. As Tobirama then saw something, 2 figures leaped up in the air, Mew and another younger ninja beside him. As Mew and the person beside him formed, the dust released. As the Konoha ninjas were wondering what was going on, Tobirama was just standing there. As Mew and his companion charged up their technique as they aimed straight towards Konoha. As Tobirama hears ninjas yelling, what should they do? How does it feel to watch your village get destroyed, Hokage? Said Tishukage. but Tobirama stood there with a smirk on his face. "Dust release, detachment of the primitive world," said Mew and his apprentice, as beam of energy erupted from their cylinders in their hand and headed towards Konoha, as the twin beams raced towards the hidden village. But before it could hit Konoha, a barrier blocked the two attacks like they were nothing. As the cages were surprised, those attacks were incredibly strong. How could a barrier block them so easily? As Mew and his companions stopped their attack, as the shield then faded away, as there was a lightning that crashed through the sky, as everyone turned, as they saw someone floating over the side of Konoha, as they saw his long white hair and his kimono. He wasn't wearing any shoes or any forehead protector. Almost immediately, the other Kages knew that he was the one that killed the Jinjulkis for the Yanbai and the Nibi. "Now then," said Tobirama, "would you like to surrender?" "I will take that as a no," said Tobirama, as neither of them said anything. "Now then, I will let you go back to your ninjas, but once you reach, this war begins." As the other two cages stepped back, but the Raikage stood there. Tobirama allowing them to walk back to their side? He wasn't going to stand for that. That was an insult to his pride. He didn't think that they were strong enough to take him, so he was allowing them to walk back? Did he think that they were that weak? Lightning release, call of the thunder god, as he brought his fist down and slapped it into the ground, as the ground cracked under the weight and the pressure and the strength. As Tobirama then looked up as a deadly lightning bolt came out of the air, but Naruto dashed forward as the lightning crashed right into him. As everyone watched, as the Raikage took a step back, as Naruto was holding the lightning in mid-air, and it was just standing there. How was this even possible? "Tobirama, begin with the plan," said Naruto. "Okay, Naruto, just make sure to not hit any Konoha ninjas," said Tobirama, as Tobirama ran back to his man, as they split to the left and right to attack their enemies. As Naruto looked at the cages, as he spoke, "He will unleash a massacre that will be told for the ages. Feel my wrath." There was a mighty boom from above as everyone looked up, as Naruto was holding onto the lightning bolt and sending it down to the ground like a whip, as hundreds of shinobis run to the left or the right trying to get out of the way of the lightning whip, as the whip tear right through the ground, killing 100 ninjas in one strike. As he then threw the whip down towards the ground as it exploded, killing more shinobis, as Naruto then dived down as he landed in a boom. As Naruto then took in a deep breath, as he then exhaled, releasing a torrent of wave of flames from his mouth, as shinobis were killed on the spot, incinerated by the heat. As the fire roared forward, killing and consuming everything in its path, leaving no survivors. Naruto then closed his mouth as he stood up straight, as he held up his hand. As the fire stopped, the fire then came together, as it started to morph into something. As the fire turned into a large fire dragon, as the fire dragon then roared, as it started to eat and incinerate all of the enemy ninjas. The fire dragon then crashed into the ground and exploded, wiping out a great portion of the ninjas. Naruto then turned as he raised his hand, as water came from the moisture of the air and blocked several fireballs. As Naruto turned and faced the Kazekage, those balls of fire was formed in scorch release. As the Tsusukage was hovering in the air, and the Raikage was next to him. As Naruto quickly turned his gaze upon the Kazekage, as Naruto simply molded his chakra, and the earth beneath his feet started to turn into quicksand, but he quickly jumped up in the air, as the earth then exploded into a mouth with giant teeth, as it clamped down on his foot, as he was pulled back down to the ground. In that instant, Naruto vanished, as he then appeared beside the Kazekage. Before any of them knew it, the Kazekage head was removed. Naruto then turned back to the other two Kages as he waved his hand as a wind, massive torrent of wind, tear through the air and slap into the both of them, delivering cuts and scrapes all over their bodies. Naruto then sent a pulse of chakra behind him as he turned to see Komi, the Seven-Tails host, as Naruto was about to kill the host, but he then heard something behind him, dust release. As the Tishikage released his particle style jutsu, as Naruto instantly jumped out of the way, as the attack slammed into the ground and the Jinchuriki host was sent flying back. As Naruto then looked around as he saw what was left of the army, it was now surrounding him. They thought that they would be able to overpower him or swarm him with so many techniques that he couldn't defend against them. How cute. You all seem to like Keke Todai, said Naruto as they all surrounded him. Well then, let's see yours against mine. As Naruto then fly as he went straight up into the sky, as he was now looking down at all the enemies. I believe if I was one of you ninjas, I would have called this, said Naruto, as he placed his hand down towards the ground. Sky release. Desolation of Earth. With that, Naruto started to spin faster and faster until he was a blur. That was when the wings started to pick up as he started to spin around him. Dirt and small rocks then started to lift off the ground, as the shinobis quickly started to move out of position of the wings. As thunder started to arch across the sky as a hole was seen, as a massive tornado was created, as thunder then struck the tornado as it started to spin as it hit the ground. It was tearing through everything. As the Tishikage looked at the godly technique, he knew in his heart that he has angered some kind of god today, one with the power to level all of the hidden villages if he chose. So there was only one thing to do. Retreat, he shouted. Retreat, all of you, get out of here! As all of the men started to turn and run away as fast as they could manage. The Tishikage tried to run away, but as he did so, the immense force of a tornado started to watch over him, as it was pulling all of them back toward the tornado and electrifying them, and if that didn't work, it ripped them apart from the inside. As the Tishikage tried to fly away, but the wind of the tornado was too powerful as it sucked him inside and his body was ripped apart within seconds, as the rest of the ninjas were ripped apart as well. After that, Naruto then stopped his attack, as he was still floating up in the sky, looking down. As Naruto then saw a portion of shinobi with the Komi hosts, as they were hiding in the trees. As Naruto descended down to the ground, as Naruto started to gather chakra in his palm, as he went down, as he reached the ground, he slammed his fist into the earth, releasing all of the chakra, as the earth cracked and opened, as all that was around was sent flying away. Several bodies of shinobis that weren't launched away by the impact was dead at Naruto's feet. As Naruto then stood up, as he looked perfectly fine, as he started to search for something, as Naruto then finally found what he wanted. But guys, I'm ending this episode right here. If you want to see the next part of this, you already know what to do. Like, subscribe, comment down below, and turn that bell notification to stay posted. Remember to share to all of your friends on social media platform, and stay in tune for the rest of the what is coming your way. And I hope you guys enjoy each and every one of them, guys. But for now, I'm out. See you guys later. Peace.